Okay, so now we're ready to start applying our materials. So very quickly, let's delete that. Let's add a fill layer. And in our fill layer, you can see we've got color, height, rough, metal, normal, and ambient occlusion. And here's all the slots for each one of them down here. So let's start filling them in. So we can get our hut chimney base color, and we can drop that right onto our base color, and straight away we've got a chimney that looks like it's been wallpapered with some rock texture, like so. And like I said, don't worry about this shadow here will be there throughout, and you might keep looking at it going, oh, that's a bit weird, but don't worry about it, it's fine, perfectly fine. Okay, so next one down, height, roughness, find our hut chimney, that's our ambient occlusion, height, roughness, drag that into there like that. Suddenly that quickly gets rid of the roughness, the shininess, because remember in beta we told it not to be shiny, so it's not. And then we go down to metallic, hut chimney metallic, we drag that over, drop that in there, not much difference because there's no metallic in there, we're just turning it off basically. Down to the normal, hut chimney normal, drop that in, and instantly you see a massive change happen. Something very magical there happened, just suddenly came alive, which is pretty cool. And our ambient occlusion down here, hut chimney, ambient occlusion, drag that over and drop that in like that. We didn't for some, oh, what's that? Oh yes, okay, and I forgot to add we can either use our slider here and draw it in potentially, or we can use our map, height map, like that, and that really heightens it, really makes it pop. So suddenly we've got a rocky chimney without really doing much work. It's there, right there in front of us. It looks quite high res, but we can change that if we want to. Over here in our texture set settings, we can reduce that down to 1K on the fly, and it will just calculate it and reduce it. It doesn't reduce the textures, but that rock there does look a bit repetitive. You can come in here now and we can change this projection to try planar if you want to. Try this. That looks a bit weird, but we can change this, make it 5. So it's back to what it was, and it's now sort of less repetitive, although it looks a bit odd because it's trying to sort of you can reduce the hardness, or see, yeah, okay, you're gonna have to play with that a little bit if you want to keep that. So the choice is yours. We can rotate it around to try and get a better look. But just be careful, because you know I actually quite like how it was originally, so I'm going to leave it like that. Cool. Okay, so now I want to just add, I just want to change some of the colour on this. So what I'm thinking is, from the ground up to around here, it's been, you know, the earth is quite damp, so the rocks are quite porous, and it would bring in some of the dampness into the rocks, so it would be a darker colour. So we can do that. We can just add a normal layer here. We can start painting on that if we wanted to, but I'm going to do it a bit more controlled than that. Let me see. So we don't want to change any of these, turn all those off, and we just want the base color, and we're going to change that color. We can even pick a color from add via dark color, something like that. Yeah, that's quite cool. Okay, so now let's find a decent brush. I just want to do this sort of gently really, and don't go too crazy with it, because otherwise you look like you've actually painted on there and it just looks a bit rubbish. A good brush, I quite like using the dark ones. You know, just work into it a little bit. Just get some of that brightness off. Don't worry about it too much, because we're going to paint moss on here in a minute. And also really don't worry about the inside, because you're never going to see this, so I'm not too fussed about that. You know, just work into it a little bit, make it look, you can, you know, change the size, hold down control and the right mouse button to change the size of the brush. You know, just work into it in a bit more detail. Some of the, you know, as you go up, maybe just do the crevices, just to fade it out a bit, like this. If you can hear that clicking of my mouse, I am using a mouse to do this, and it's a new mouse because my old one broke. I've got this really cool mouse that glows, so I quite like it, so I apologise if it's a little bit annoying. So just work into this. A bit more, make it big. You know, like I said, just choose a different brush if you want to, and you can see it retains all the normal detail underneath and the brick, and you know, you still got all that definition. Nothing's really lost because it's on a different layer. I can turn it off, back on again. Right, so I'm happy with that. You can work into it some more if you want to. You know, you can just blend it further up, just so as it blends out more from the bottom rather than just stopping suddenly. And if you want to rub some out, feel free to do that too. Just using the eraser tool here, but make sure you go back to the brush to carry on. Right, that'll do. I'm happy with that. I did on my test actually paint some brightness in some of the rocks just to give it a bit of variation. You may have noticed that, you may not have noticed. So just to change it, change it up a bit on some of the rocks. You know, just don't go too crazy there. You can see that's a bit too much really. So let's take that back a bit. Try and be a bit more precise than I was there. Yeah, there you go. That's a bit better. Cool. Okay, so do that. And you can just come down here and you can bring in the walls if you want to, just to keep popping them in and having a look and then popping them back out again. So walls exterior, just pop them on, and you can bring on the interior ones as well, just to make it feel a bit more solid. There you go, that's looking pretty good. Don't worry about the inside because we don't care about the inside too much at the moment. So that's good, it's looking good. So turn the walls off. Make sure you got your hut chimney selected still down there. Now in your materials, if you haven't got this, you can go and get it. Moss Fluffy. If you haven't got that, go into I think it's Substance Source. Click on your Substance Source and go to their website, and you'll find tons of materials that you can use. I think, am I in the right place? it's here somewhere. Oh, it's grass patterned. Okay. Moss fluffy. There it is. So select that, or click on your little download button here, and you have to log in, and you can save it, or you can load it directly into here. So once you've done that, you can drag it in and just drop it onto the shelf, and then it'll ask you if you want to put it in here just for this project or if you want to put it in here permanently. When it asked me, I chose to put it in here permanently because we're going to use this a lot on trees, on all sorts of things. So once that's in, you should see it in your materials here. Drag it up like that, and everything will turn to moss, which is a bit scary. It's quite cool moss. In fact, we need to turn that back to 2K because that looks a bit blurry. Dink, there you go, so it recalculates, and there's my fluffy moss. Now we need to put in a black mask so that we've got our bricks showing through, and we're going to paint in our black mask now. You can use whatever brush you want. I'm going to go for my dirt one again. I'm going to use control. I'm going to make it smaller, and from the bottom I'm going to work up through, and I want loads of moss on the bottom, so just paint quite a lot into the stonework around the bottom, because it will grow all over the bottom. And you can see that's really nice work, really nice moss on our brickwork. Okay, so, and as you go up, just make it smaller. You want to start just working into the cracks rather than all over the stones. So gently work into the crevices, leaving some of the rock and the stone exposed on the chimney. Just work it up through, and this is a good opportunity if you've got any bits that you don't like, like weird stones, you can just cover them up with a bit of moss, which is quite cool. Just keep working into it. So I'm going to do this all the way to the top. You do the same. I'll put it on fast forward, but take your time over it. Don't go too crazy. You can do this stuff, you can go too much into this. You can work too much into it, and it just then starts to look a bit silly. But on the top, don't worry about these pots at the moment. We're going to sort them out in a minute. Just do it a lot around the edge at the top, because it would grow on the top. We're never going to see the top up here, so I'm not too fussed about that. But you can paint it in if you want to, and have it sort of growing down the edge. Okay, so time to move on to the chimney pots. We'll get these masked out and painted up separately to the actual stone chimney. First of all, there's a couple of things we need to do. Is just rename these layers, because you're going to get confused if you don't. So the first one's rock. Obviously the top one's moss fluffy, we know that. And the middle one's just the damp sort of dirt layer at the bottom. Okay, so now we have to create a mask for the rocky layer, so we can mask everything above it out. And then all we do, we create a white mask, because the majority of it we want to keep. And then we just paint the black into the chimneys like this. We're using black, we're not using white, so make sure you get that right, otherwise you won't see anything. And then and now go to your materials, and at the top you want to find concrete. I use concrete. You don't have to use it, you can use something else, but it's just quite a nice texture. Drop it in the top and you'll notice that it covers everything to start with. You want to right click and create a black mask like that, and then come down to your concrete layer, and we're going to just give it a colour here. And I kind of went for a sort of terracotta sort of colour. Now I think there's a little bug here, because you click onto your mask and you get this. You don't get the proper painting thing, you still get the concrete colours. Just make that white. It still works, but I don't think that's quite right. It's supposed to be like, it's not supposed to be like that. So just painting white where your chimneys are. So the mask is just masking out. So we can just expose the terracotta and then rub out any sort of marks that you had on the chimney. Not that it really matters. You're not going to see up here that much. So it doesn't matter too much. And just make sure you cover everything. Cover all of your chimney. So you've got your chimney and your pots here. And then we're going to add some detail to the base. And we're going to add in a fluffy moss layer on the top again. And then add a black mask. So as you can, so it masks it out, and then we're just going to paint into the black mask. And you can see it's not right. It's showing concrete colour again. So I think it's definitely a bug there. But anyway, just choose white in that slot there, and then paint around the base, and paint around any areas on your chimney pots where you want the moss to come through. And it will be up there. It will be growing everywhere. This stuff. If you've ever been into a forest, and I come from the West Country where there's a lot of forests, you know, this stuff gets everywhere. It grows everywhere. So, and then finally, at the top, lots of birds will be landing on this. Just adding some sort of detail. Turn off all your. You don't need all your. You know, the only thing you need on is your base color here. So turn everything else off. I think I left normal map on yet, but that doesn't matter. That's fine. And then just paint where you want bird poop to be. This is your bird poop, your opportunity to painting some bird poop. You know, they would be sitting up there and birds just crap everywhere, basically. For the want of a better word, they do. They just don't care. And if you've ever been to a big city, and I lived in London for a while, and they just do it everywhere. They don't care. So, and it can cause quite a problem. So to make sure you get this on. It's not just a little detail that you'll see, perhaps, maybe, as you're wandering through. Do it by hand. You just paint it on, and yeah, like I say, it's just a small detail. So yeah, just keep painting. You'll see it's coming through. You'll see it's coming through on the second chimney as well, but that's fine. You know, we shared the UVs. You're not going to see it, so it's cool. And we rotated that chimney, so they do look a bit different anyway. So there you go. That's it. That's the chimney pots separated from the chimney and painted up. So now we can move on to the next object. I'll see you in the next lecture.